Hello and welcome to this week's episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jordan Samuel Fleming. Today, my guest is John Misarti. He's got he's got a lot of hats. The man wears a lot of hats. Not only is he an investor, he is an investor with a tremendous pedigree and background. He has built up a business over 10 years. He has created the move from local investing to broadening into new markets to commercial and multifamily and syndication. He's got a lot of experience, and we've got a couple really great discussion points in this interview. Not only do we kind of dive into, I was really curious a lot of times I speak with investors who are focused on one market and are wondering how to make the jump into new markets when you're not necessarily there hands on. And John did that. And so we drew that out a little bit and talked a bit about his experience doing that, lessons he learned. And then, of course, we dove into some of the technology changes for him and the things that have really helped him scale, including a really good conversation on voice agents. He was one of our early adopters in smartphone, and has had some great success with our voice agents. This is just a great all around episode where we're speaking with someone who has a deep knowledge and insight into real estate investing, has got his own um, podcast, has built up his expertise, has expanded into a lot of different markets and a lot of different um, uh, exit strategies and types of real estate investment, and just brings so much experience to the game. I really enjoyed this conversation. I've really enjoyed getting to go know John, and I think you're going to really benefit from listening to just how he's approached things, what he's learned, and how he's tackling the future. So, without further ado, let's dive right into my conversation with John Misarti. And I'm live with my friend John. John, you wear a lot of hats, so why don't you take just a couple minutes and let everybody know sort of what all those hats are and what your focus is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think first, the major one is I own I will buy your house for cash.com, which is a customer facing business, which is there to acquire off market opportunities. We started real estate opportunities. Okay. We started in New Jersey back in 2018, and we have slowly, organically expanded. We do parts of New York, parts of PA, parts of Connecticut. And as the business has grown, so have the opportunities from other parts of the country. We get a good deal of hoarder homes. We get a good deal of, obviously fixer uppers. I just locked in this deal in California. I got a call for a deal in Washington State. Every once in a while, something dribbles in Texas and parts of Florida. So things are going pretty well there. Um, we have now an investor focused side of the business, which is predominantly syndication deals. So we're looking for 20 to 100 unit apartment investment opportunities in the southeastern part of the United States. That would be localrei.com. And in that effort to help with part of the syndication, part of the capital raise, to get my name out there as an investor in that realm, I started a podcast, and that is Corner Store Millionaires, where we interview small business owners. I don't want to say you guys are small, but we've had a conversation, and the intent is just to understand what you're doing as an investor yourself, what your business looks like, what challenges you've come across, how you overcome those challenges, and then just to get a little bit more of a personal feel of you, and what you like to do with yourself. So those are the three main buckets. Collectively, I think they round me out as a real estate investor, again, both residential and commercial, with this nice little social media cap on top of both.
Fantastic. And yeah, absolutely. We've had a conversation on your podcast already. And it was a tremendous amount of fun. In terms of when you look at the other two businesses, the I will buy your house for cash.com and the local rei.com. Um, you started out in that kind of northeast market for I will buy your house for cash.com. I mean, just to kind of set the scene, how did you get started? What was your kind of entry point into this? And how did you also start to expand that business into multiple markets? Because a lot of investors that I speak to, there's still a huge amount of investors out there that are working in only one market. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Um, so how did you get started with that, and how did you do make that initial expansion into multiple markets?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think my first real, let's say, real estate opportunity was back in 2013. So I was part time in that sphere. I was working actually full time in finance, and I really hated it. Like corporate America is just not for me. I tried a bunch of different companies within the first, I don't know, 10, 12 years of my adult life, and I sort of hated it, so I did a flip on the side, and I found that was my passion. So I just started, I took the profit from that. I reinvested it into a second one, and then I was sort of presented with an opportunity where I could. My company was getting sold, and I was like, "You stay on, or you could take a package." And I said, I'm out. Like, give me that package. I am done. I'm realigning myself so I can stop being like two or three different people. Work John and personal real in real life John, and I can put them together. I can chase my passion, and that is really where I will buy your house for cash came from. That's how we started back in 2018. So I had some education. I had to fill in my knowledge gap, and I attended I don't know what you want to call it. It was like a 2 or 3 day seminar down in Florida somewhere, and I learned about wholesaling. I learned about digital marketing and some of that SEO types of space, and that was the beginning. So we started off again. We were in like 2 or 3 counties in New Jersey, just hyper local, and I was on the phone all day. I was cold calling. I was trying to find deals. I was really scrappy. Anything that I could find that I could either take down for myself or assign to somebody else was gobbled up. And it's difficult. I'll be honest. Everyone stands up and says wholesaling is the easiest way to get started in real estate, and it might be true. It might be the cheapest way to get started, but it's very competitive. It's not just a bunch of young upstarts that are chasing deals. We have a bunch of realtors that are doing kind of the same thing. They show up for listings with, they look super professional and they say, "Hey, we can list the property at $1 million. Or if you're interested, I know a guy and we can buy it for cash, at 70%." And sometimes it works. So it's gotten competitive. And I think to remain competitive myself, I shifted and I put together like this big SEO push to position my business as authoritative in New Jersey as an investor, what would you call like a secondary opportunity for homeowners. So rather than going to a realtor, having the walkthroughs and dealing with all that, they can just come to me.
Staging and all that stuff.
That's it. So I spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of money positioning the website as not only authoritative, but in a manner so that when people search for things, it lands on my site. And again, that started in New Jersey. It was a couple counties. But as the reviews have started coming in and as the links have started growing, it pushed out. And like geographically, it just spills over the border because the SEO doesn't exactly know, New Jersey only, PA only, whatever. Um, and that's the story. We've gotten a bunch of great backlinks. We've been featured in some bigger publications nationally, and all of those things together collectively have allowed me now to expand. I would say expand in quotes, but to receive opportunities in other states that are not in this immediate area.
And let me ask you though, because I think, receiving opportunities is one thing, executing them is another.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, um, with the right amount of expertise or budget, you can receive opportunities anywhere. The question is executing at arm's length when you are based one place and the deal is somewhere else. Now, that's
Yeah.
not something everyone can do, or at least it's not something that out of the gate a lot of people think they can do. So when you start, what was the leap like to start doing arm's length deals? And how did you take that leap? What did you sort of what drove you to do it? Were you worried, etc.? And then what did you find made it successful enough for you to continue expanding?
Sure. That's a really good question. The first couple deals were just longer drives for me. So, it would be an hour and a half, maybe a 2 hour drive in some cases just to get to the house, right? And then there's work to be done. I got to deal with the town. I got to come back, etc. And what I got really good at was finding local people to fill those gaps, to build a team, boots on the ground, and I think it's super valuable. This is something also that any business owner should consider, right? You should not be doing all of these things yourself. You might feel you're the smartest or the most capable, whatever, but you are in your own way. Hire people that are better than you, that can take care of these things on your behalf and can make the decisions, and then you just sort of manage that. But as far as building out a team, where I always started was I would find the local Facebook groups and I would just put a post out. A lot of people would come in. You might find contractors, you might find realtors, um, you might find a money guy. Who knows? And then you'd have to just sit and talk with them and meet. If you've been in real estate, I would say for more than like 3 months, you should get pretty good at sniffing out the BS. There's a lot of guys in here that pretend, that they've done all these deals, that they're all, greatest wholesaler in the whole world or whatever it would be. You sniff through that really quickly. Find yourself a good realtor, someone that's willing to help you out in return for the listing at the end. They will have good connections, right? And the same thing, you go into that Facebook group, you talk to the investors, they will have good referrals and recommendations for contractors as well. You put that team together, empower the realtor, empower your GC, and then it just becomes a talking point and perhaps like a weekly touch up on progress.
And yeah, I mean, that's an ideal world. Um, Not everything always works out that well. And I think,
That is true.
and I think, again, I always look at it, I always think to myself, okay, what can someone learn from your experience, particularly someone like you who's developed that up? So you must have had, in the time that you started to work at arm's length, you must have had good GCs and bad GCs. You must
Yep.
have had deals that went really well and deals that didn't go as well as well. That's true for everybody.
Yep.
Um, so as you started to build out your playbook of how to approach this, what are some of the lessons you learned on the deals that didn't go well?
That's a good question too. I think what immediately comes to mind is cheaper is not always better. And these guys would come into you, the GCs, and they, I will say, they're a lot cheaper than somebody else. That's kind of, it could be a bit of a flag, you know. Um, when you talk to a GC and they're not interested in giving you their insurance form or naming you as a insured on that form, that's a red flag, you know. And then when you get, again, say if you're on Facebook and you're meeting people, if you search that person, you can't find them on the internet and they don't have any reviews or 2 reviews or 5 reviews, that is another red flag. So you choose the best. You try to make the best decision you can. Again, you should be pretty tuned in to sniff out a lot of the BS from these guys. Yeah. They just blow smoke. And then you try to empower them. That's the other thing too. You get done sooner. Maybe you get a little bit of a bonus. If you handle this on my behalf, hey man, you'll tell me what you want. You want some reviews online. You want me to refer you. You want me to talk about your business. You want to come on my podcast, whatever it is. It's a mutual relationship. You help me, I'll help you.
So, um, let's take a sidestep then,
Mhm.
because you've been doing this a long time,
That's right.
um, and technology's changed a lot during that time. Uh, and technology is a great leveler for scale because a one-man band now can operate with the same sophistication as God, almost as a Fortune 500 company. I mean, at this point, the tools are such, and the scale, the tools are such when used properly, that you have that. So, as you started to, as you have kind of expanded your reach, and you've obviously moved into the commercial and the multifamily space as well. What are some of the technology tools that have facilitated that growth and that movement across both multiple markets and also multiple streams of multifamily, commercial, etc.
Yeah. So I think when I first started, everything was very manual. We'd go to list source, we would put in our variables and pull the data. We'd have to skip trace it with a second or third party. Um, we'd have to, load it into an Excel sheet. We'd have to take that and load it into a CSV. We'd have to take that and put it into the dialer. The dialer only dialed, so then you'd have to text somewhere else. You'd have to take all of your dispositions and put them into the CRM manually. On that too, you build out on Podio or something like that. It was a tremendous amount of work. I had a specific, when I first started, I would hire people just to do the programming and to make sure that everything was connected. And then, things change. What worked 1 year, cold calling was great for a little while. Then text messaging was great for a little while. Then postcards were great for a little while. So these systems that you build and you kind of struggle with would break or fade, and then you'd have to create something else. So it was always a lot of work on the tech side. And then over time, and just fast forward to today. You have all these great APIs. You have smartphone that does all this great stuff, and you can just plug and play them. You can use Codex. You open up Codex, ChatGPT. You tell it what you want it to do, and 98% of the way it gets you there. And it has streamlined so much of the non-work, the stuff that actually drives your business that you spend so much time on. All of that has been streamlined. And then with the introduction of AI, it's saying you give them research tasks. You have this great thing. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about it. Your AI bot. I called mine Jessica, and she picks up the phone. She'll have 10-minute conversations, 15-minute conversations with missed calls that we didn't get to. And the people have no idea. They talk to her the same way they would talk to a human being. She takes notes. She can cross-reference notes from prior calls. She schedules calendar events. It's incredible. Everything has gotten so much easier um, from a data perspective, prospecting perspective.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Technology. We've always known technology moves at a pace that we could never move at.
Yeah,
And that pace seems to only be accelerating even more now with AI. Um, I do have concerns that a lot of people are running without understanding sometimes,
it's fair.
and that that one of the they're running and they're doling out $50 worth of solution for a 50-cent problem sometimes.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is that you've got imagine using the power of something like a agentic AI, you know, for something as simple as an automated follow-up.
yeah,
Not and let me be clear. I don't mean agentic AI shouldn't follow up, but there's a difference between automation and what agents can do.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but I wanted to make sure you knew that Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors, connects to the best-in-class real estate investment CRMs. And because, as it's my show and I am co-founder and chairman of Smartphone, I got some great deals for you. Click the link and take advantage of 5,000 minutes free calling with Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors. Click and call. Close more leads. Back to the show.
Agents can reason, think, and make decisions based on not just if this, then that decision trees, but they can make decisions by analyzing a problem and deciding on the solution that is right based on training, context, etc. But imagine using all that power just to say, hey, at the end of this, do this. And so I think there's a disconnect we have right now where almost everybody has been handed the keys to a Ferrari, and a whole bunch of people still haven't passed their driver's test, and are right and
Dangerous out there. Be careful. Yeah.
and they're dangerous, but they're never going to be able to use the goddamn car in the way that it should be used. So I think there's an interesting point of inflection right now for all of us. But to your point about the like just touching briefly on the voice agents, the smartphones agents in particular. Um, well, I remember, when we first had discussions about this, I think you were relatively skeptical as well. If I remember, you were relatively skeptical,
Yeah.
and that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. So
Yeah.
talk me through, and yes, okay, this is smartphone and smart agents, so this is relatively self-serving, but forgetting about that for a second, because whether it's smartphone or not, you went from sort of skeptical that this would be something that would work well, that this sort of could work well for your business, to being a relative convert. What was it that kind of made you that changed your mind?
Yeah. You know what? I have to be honest. The immediate thing that it was probably 80% of the way there is I went through the voices, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to sound like a robot. It's going to sound like a answering machine. It's just going to be so fake. There's no way anyone's going to believe this is real. And then I landed on one of them. It was like the second or third one. And she's got this kind of like little semi-southern twang type of thing going on.
I know exactly which voice this is. I know exactly.
I don't know. What do you call it for everyone that's issue? Maybe Ash. Holy cow. And it's warm and there's depth. There's like some sort of like timbre.
She feels friendly.
You want to be her best friend. She picks up and she's like, oh yeah, no problem. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. What? And we had, I put in my prompt and it seemed a little. So anyway, so let me back up. So that was incredible. That was like 80% of the way. But then it was like, all right, well, if she can't hold a normal conversation, if she can't answer things in a normal human manner instead of an AI robot-y type of thing, it doesn't work. But I put in my little prompt, which again, it's not comprehensive. Smartphone figures that out, for you. You give it just a little bit of instruction and it has enough background to kind of go through and understand what it's supposed to do, how to talk to these people. And it blew it out of the park. Again, like, for me, it was good. I'm 40 years old. I feel like I'm pretty smart, like I don't get fooled that easily. But you're sitting there having a conversation with her and there's some background noise. There's a little bit of like hesitation, and she handles like fluid, normal conversation as if it were real. And testament to that, there's 5, 10, 15-minute long conversations. People have no idea. A thing comes out right in the beginning. Hey, our company uses AI to, whatever the disclaimer is. And they just say, oh, okay. And they continue. And they'll have these huge conversations and they schedule callbacks. And it's incredible. It is really incredible. I was sold within the first, I think, 5 minutes of getting this thing up and running.
And let's just drill into how you use them right now, because For me, one of the best use cases of agents right now is to make sure that every single call that comes into you is always answered, because
Yes.
we know that motivation drops very quickly, and if someone calls you with high motivation and you don't pick up the phone, they're a lot of them are very unlikely to leave a message because
Sure.
they're just moving on.
Yes.
um and the truth is, by the time you manage to get back to them, they may have already moved on mentally, they may have spoken with someone, etc.
Sure.
So um when you started to implement these agents into your business, did you attack just out of hours? Did you attack overflow? What was the angle you
Sure.
went on down?
Yeah. So, I mean, to your point, that is absolutely true. And for anyone listening to this, if you guys are not picking up your phone calls, you are losing opportunities. Like I don't know what percentage, but you have to pick up your phone calls. They go down the same way you as an individual that needs a service, you're going to go down that list, and whoever picks up first and sounds maybe the best, or you feel some sort of rapport with, the service gets booked right then and there. So please, all y'all out in the internets somewhere, pick up your phone when it rings. So originally let me think. I think I just had it doing after hours. I was still a little hesitant, I didn't want, who knows with these types of things. So I just had it after hours, but it was quickly, I don't know, within a day or two or three, overflow. Everything that my guys can't pick up during normal business hours and after business hours are going to the AI agent automatically. And it has helped. I got a lead. I mentioned earlier, I just had an opportunity out in California. That lead came from that they called after hours. The 3 hour shift between here and there. Jessica picked up. She had a whole conversation with this woman, and I got the alert. I called her right back. And we locked it up that same night. We locked up a contract, however many miles, 2,000, 2,500 miles away, because Jessica was there. I'm sorry if I didn't say it. I call my AI agent Jessica. She has a real name. She's a real person. Um, and that was it. So we put it in originally just after hours. We quickly just moved it to overflow, and within the first day or two, I mean, we got a lead, we got a contract. It is well worth it.
Yeah, it's an interesting your point as well is well taken as well, in terms of you know there's always a fine line between um fooling people and not fooling people,
Sure.
wanting to fool people and not wanting to fool people. I sort of take the view that the goal's never to fool people. Um
I agree with that.
the goal is never to fool people, and for instance, with our agents, particularly the ones that you're using, if someone ever asks an agent, are you AI, they will never ever lie. They are always going to say, yes, I
Yep.
am. Because you lose trust very quickly if you try to fool people.
Yep.
You lose trust very quickly with people. Now, but to me, the absolute critical thing is, well, what I have found, and I was telling you some numbers. We've got an agent right now that over the last 7 days has done a ridiculous amount of calling of volumes. 100 calls at a time, at the same time. I always say to people don't mind speaking to AI as long as the conversation gets where they need to go.
Right.
Where we can think about this yourself, like just forget real estate for a second. Let's just geek out for a teeny second. Imagine you have just called a service company of some sort, a hotel, whatever, a mechanics, it doesn't really matter. If you call them and you get one of those irritating phone trees that makes you jump through 15 hoops to try and just get help, right? You called AT&T and or Verizon, and it takes you 10 minutes of phone tree to then wait for 20 minutes to get a representative, that is an enormous amount of friction
It's
that
so
frustrates the living shit out of people and gets them slamming their phones into the table, right?
yeah, yeah.
We and who amongst us has not had that experience? Who hasn't had that experience where you're just like, oh, for God's sakes, I'm a customer and I just want help.
Start
Right?
cursing. You
But
start cursing at the phone so that they automatically transfer you to the live representative. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. You're like, hey, Jen, representative. Right, but we've all had that experience. But what we found is that if the agents are trained properly so that they can actually hold conversations and that people when they call in, whether it's real estate or other verticals, other use cases and business cases, if people can call or speak or get called by the agent and the agent actually like does exactly what they need them to do and pushes them to that, takes them from A to where they need to go,
Sure.
they don't give a shit if it's AI because they have just gotten everything they needed as quickly as they can and they've had zero friction.
I agree with that. I mean, you see these chatbots too on websites, and you say, okay, you're asking for help. So many sites now are AI generated. No one cares about that. You get the answer without having to wait in a queue, without having to go back and forth. The AI bot just gives you the answer, and if it's the wrong answer, you say, it's not good. This is what I was actually asking for, and then it'll fix it up. So I agree with you. I think having AI on the phone, having AI in a chatbot, or whatever else it might be in the future is a tremendous help to people that are actively seeking that help.
Absolutely. Now, so what are other sort of key things that have helped you, that scale, or what are some of the key things you're really looking forward to kind of investigating more of that you see the opportunity? Where do you see some of the opportunities for the technology to help you even further in the future?
Yeah. So what I think would be I need to kind of look into this a little bit more, but for the commercial or the syndication side of the business, you spend a lot of time chasing investors. To be perfectly honest, you spend time looking for the opportunity to begin with, but then you also have to spend some time chasing the investors and having. You got to be careful, right? I don't want to say having the AI do it for you, but having AI assistance in generating some of these webinars, attracting the individual to begin with, but then having some sort of AI interface with the webinars would be huge. It would be so huge. Like I can only be on the phone so many times a day. I can only be on these types of things so many times a day. There's too much other stuff going on. But if you had an agent that was able to attract the right people, which I think we're kind of already there, but then be able to interface with them in some capacity, I think that would be really, really huge. And again,
Well, imagine
mhm.
I would say imagine a world where like think about syndication where you have to give people updates.
Yep,
Um,
that too.
Imagine a world where an AI agent is able to communicate with every single person in the in the syndicate and give them updates and like as in real time as updates kind of come out they can give a call and say, oh, hey John, it's Linda calling from whatever, just want to let you know that as of yesterday we managed to do this and this, and now that it's proceeding to forward, do you want me to send you an email with the with the current update on where things are? Oh yeah, thanks very much. And then the email goes out.
See, I mean, like that sort of thing would be amazing. And I think the way things are now, you can drop all of that information operationally. Let's say you had, a meeting with the GC. This moved ahead. This is great. 85% occupancy. We're slated by the end of whatever. It would be pushed up as notes into a knowledge base, and your AI agent would consume that and summarize it, and then as we were talking earlier, they start making these phone calls or they start sending out text messages. It's like, if you want the full update, we'll send it to you in an email, or you can jump on this quarterly update or monthly update, and we'll talk through. And it just adds it's so powerful. It's so powerful to help with managing the people element of this business, of any business.
We've got a property management agent right now that I'm working on with one company, as a sort of test case one. And the next step in this agent is going to be for them to sync in their contracting list. And then the agent, when a maintenance call will come in, the agent will be able to answer the call 24/7, triage and prioritize. Then we'll be able to reach out to the contractors or the suppliers directly, get the job scheduled. And because most of those guys, plumbers, whatever, et cetera, they don't really work well with updates and systems, right? Like, you can fight all you want, but at the end of the day, a lot of these guys aren't going to log into a system to do shit, and they're never going to send you the stuff that you want to send. But if you've got an AI agent that schedule the job and then can call them and say, "Hey, John, just following up on 123 Main Street's the job that you did this morning. Can how did it go? What's the charge, etc." Just imagine all of that kind of a lot of the capability, of I don't want to say just volume, but it's also just like there's a lot of times when relatively unskilled labor just needs to be applied to a solution.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. Like, whole businesses are run in that capacity.
It's the wave. It's the wave of the future. So,
Yeah.
John, what's next for you in general? What are you focused on right now? How do people get in touch with you? What are how do people get in touch with your podcast, etc.? Give us a little. Finish off the podcast with a little bit about where you're going, what you're focused on, and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the next couple months are going to be super busy, and I'm really excited to see the results of all the work that's going into it. Again, the customer, the homeowner facing side of the business is growing hand over fist. We're hiring more people. We're employing AI. And I'm like I said, I'm just really excited to see where we end up with that. As far as anyone else that might be listening to this podcast, if you're curious to learn about syndications, if you want to get involved in a syndication, you can email me directly. It's john@localrei.com. You can also go to localrei.com to learn more about the syndication process. And then Cornerstone Millionaires is just that, it's URL. You can also grab it at any place your local podcasts are served. And if, again, anyone's listening, they want to come on as a guest to promote their own business, their flavor of how they get things done, please register. I'd love to have you as a guest.
Fantastic. Well, listen, John, absolute pleasure to have you on the call. We'll make sure that all of those links go in the descriptions across all the different platforms. I've been really grateful that you came on today. It's been fun getting to know you over the last months. I'm grateful for you as a customer, but I'm also grateful for all the time you've given me, and the conversations we've had. And it's great to see just all of the ways that you've managed to build such an amazing business. And I'm excited to continue to see where you go from here. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Jordan. Great talking to you.
Thanks for listening to another amazing episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com to check out all episodes and get special discounts on tons of awesome real estate technology platforms.